Hi, everybody. Before we get started, I just wanted to make a quick note. You'll notice that this presentation is formatted as if it was being given to district or school administration. It built upon the original presentation I had made for the foundations class, and I wanted to expand on that a little bit. So I just want to let you know that's kind of what I was thinking my audience is being, so just so there wasn't any confusion. Hi, I'm Chrissy Petersen, and I'm here to talk to you today about some of the benefits and ways in which we can establish a permanent school counseling program at Harrelson Elementary School. The elementary school years are the time where students are learning and developing the foundational skills and attitudes that they will carry with them throughout their school careers. They are learning who they are, what they believe, if they think school is important, and how they fit into the bigger world. School counselors can play a vital role in this development by offering education, support, and guidance for all students. Before we talk specifically about Harrelson, let's take a look at what makes school counselors an integral position in any school. The school counseling profession is guided by the professional organization, the American School Counselor Association, or the ASCA. The ASCA has developed a national model for school counseling programs so that there are common professional and student-centered expectations across all schools, districts, and states. Alignment with this model gives school counselors guidance on how to ensure they are offering meaningful and results-oriented programs while addressing achievement and opportunity gaps to ensure all students have a quality educational experience. The ASCA has high expectations for school counseling professionals that they list in their professional competencies. These competencies outline the ways in which school counselors should understand and carry out their comprehensive school counseling programs. In addition, the ASCA has extensive student standards, similar to our state academic standards, that outline the goals for the school counseling program in addressing students' academic, social, emotional, and career development. When you take a look at these standards, they also align with the AMFI School District's Portrait of a Graduate, addressing all 8 areas of proficiency in many ways. Just like any other educational professional, school counselors are held to high ethical standards. The ASCA outlines these standards in 6 main categories. Responsibility to students is first because it's the primary focus for school counselors. These student-centered ethical standards cover many areas, including confidentiality and the obligation to maintain data-informed programs. Responsibility to parents, guardians, school, and to self covers collaboration among stakeholders and advocacy for students. This section also emphasizes the importance of professional development and professional advocacy. The school counselor administrators and supervisors and the school counseling intern site supervisors sections refer to the expectations for professionals who oversee school counselors as managers. Ethical decision-making is a 9-step decision-making model for school counselors to follow when faced with an ethical dilemma. Lastly, the Maintenance of Standards section offers guidance when unethical behavior is witnessed among school counseling colleagues. We have established that school counselors are meaningful and necessary at the middle and high school level in our district. But why would we need them in our elementary schools? The ASCA sums it up well by saying, the elementary school years set the foundation for developing the knowledge, attitudes, and skills necessary for children to become healthy, competent, and confident learners. Elementary school counselors have an impact on these years by implementing a school counseling program and collaborating with school staff, parents, and the community to create a safe and respectful learning environment. By providing education, prevention, early identification, and intervention, elementary school counselors help their students achieve academic success, develop an understanding of career opportunities, and develop social-emotional skills in response to issues they face. The words collaboration and stakeholders are mentioned quite frequently in school counseling profession, so I wanted to create a visual that would help everyone understand how the school counseling program fits into the many influences in a student's academic experience. The student being the primary focus is the foundation, larger than the rest and the receiver of all the input. The stakeholders that I have included in this diagram are parents and families, school staff, which includes the students' teachers, school and district administration, who are setting the tone and overall expectations of the school, and the outside community, who can provide a major influence on the opportunities each student has access to. The school counseling program is the center of input, collaborating with all of the other influences to bring together the best that each element has to offer, thus creating the best possible experiences for our students and preparing them for post-graduation success. Another term that gets thrown around a lot in school counseling is data. Data-driven, data-informed, data-based. Just as it is in the main elements of education, data should be the largest influence on what a school counseling program looks like. We can't just plan curriculum that makes us feel good or offer a small group because we feel like it might help. We don't have the time for it, and it's just not a smart way to utilize our resources. So what does data do to help a school counseling program? All of these factors can be steered by the data that the school counselors gather. We can see which students are achieving and which are not, and see if there's a link among them so we can address any achievement gaps. We can dig deeper into behavioral issues and figure out what individual and community influences might be addressed to create change. We can evaluate our own programs and maintain a fluidity that keeps the school counseling program constantly relevant. We can also identify and address systemic barriers that might be getting in the way of our students' success. So where does all this numerical gold come from? Well, there are three primary types of data that school counselors should be considering. The first is achievement data. This is information and statistics that are directly related to the student's academic achievement, test scores, report card grades, and so on. The second data type is behavioral data. This is anything that might affect a student's opportunity for achievement. In education, we are good at analyzing student performance, but we don't regularly look at these underlying influences. This would include discipline details, attendance records, how socioeconomic status factors into the equation, and whatnot. Last, there are program results data. These are any figures that relate to the implementation of the school counseling program and what changes have resulted because of school counseling interventions. We can gather before and after data when teaching a lesson, holding a small group, or working with a student individually. This data can be obtained in many ways. We can look at before and after achievement or behavioral data that we mentioned before to see if there's any change, or we can create our own pre and post tests to measure changes in attitudes, knowledge, and skills. Let me share one example of analyzing some program results. Here are some data points from Harrelson that a school counselor might keep track of. We have your basic demographic makeup of the school and some discipline statistics. When we compare these numbers and how they change or remain consistent from year to year, we can identify some areas that might need some intervention. Keep in mind as we're looking at this information, the 2019-2020 school year was shortened because of the COVID-19 pandemic, and this year, 2020-21, is not by any means a typical year, so the numbers are a little skewed. At the end of the 2018-2019 school year, we looked at our discipline numbers and we wanted to do something to address the number of behavioral incidents that involved physical aggression. That data point seemed to be far too high compared with the other incident types. We decided that implementing a Tier 2 behavior intervention called Check-In, Check-Out program might help our kids that were consistently struggling with this issue more frequently than most students. Once an issue that needs to be addressed is identified, how do you go about planning your intervention? This data sheet is an example of how a school counselor might plan and evaluate this check-in, check-out program we were talking about before. While planning an intervention, the school counselor needs to design the program by making sure it aligns with the school's overall mission and figure out what specific outcomes are wanted. In this example, we were looking at how this check-in, check-out program will impact the students who have had 4 or more physical aggression referrals over the past year. Addressing this issue absolutely aligns with our school's goal. We need to provide a safe and enriching school environment. The next step is to ask what data points will be measured and how you will access that data. Luckily, we at our school use the School-Wide Support System, or SWIS, to track all of our discipline information. So accessing this type of data is literally the click of a mouse. During implementation, it's necessary to keep track of the data points and then use those to announce your findings. In this example, our analysis wasn't complete since we don't have a full year of implementation to compare with our starting point. We have seen some individualized impact on the program, but we're not ready to draw any concrete conclusions yet. I'd like to use the last few minutes to talk about a few more examples of what a school counseling program could look like and include at Harrelson Elementary. Let's start with the bigger picture. What do we envision this school counseling program doing to help our students long term? Here you can see our vision statement. The vision of Harrelson Elementary School Counseling Program is equipping our students to become successful world citizens. Our students are leaders in their communities, able to recognize the needs and utilize the strengths of themselves and others. They are prepared to live enriched lives of balance, flourishing social relationships, professional productivity, and constant personal growth. Big visions like this require lots of preparation and planning. We need to be proactive in our purpose and goals each year and plan the outline of how to meet these goals. This is an example of how a semester might be planned out. You can see there are points to make sure families are involved, topics that we plan to cover in our classroom lessons and staff development, and even planning goals. It's helpful to work with an advisory committee made up of teachers, administration, and parents to develop the specific topics and events each year based on data, of course. You'll notice that August is slated for introductions and minute meetings. So what exactly are minute meetings? Minute meetings are an example of how we might collect pre-programming data. It's a quick check-in with students at the beginning of the year that allows counselors the opportunity to get some face time with them and get an overall picture of how they are feeling coming into the year. The information gleaned from these quick interviews can help indicate what issues might need to be addressed in a classroom setting, where a small group might be most effective, or identify students that have a personal issue that needs attention. For this example, I designed my minute meeting with Google Forms. Google has developed a wonderful system that can take these types of surveys and offer disaggregated data results immediately. One last example I want to share with you is a sample lesson. School counselors are educators also, so the quality of their work should mirror what you see in the classroom. I like to conduct literacy-based lessons since books are a great jumping off point for kids to be able to relate to the subject at hand. It gives us all a common base of understanding, an example of what we can refer back to throughout the lesson. This particular lesson, which is part of the larger racial awareness unit, is designed for second graders who are beginning to understand who they are as individuals and how they fit into the bigger world. By pairing them up for this activity, the goal is to also cultivate some empathy and understanding for others. Quality program is essential to the success of any school counseling program. School counselors need to be accountable for the resources that are spent to maintain their programs. They are accountable to the students, families, administration, and the overall community. In order to prove our worth and show our program's effectiveness, we need to be able to show how our students are different. Well, not just different, but better as a result of our program. We hold our programs and professionals accountable by the ever-evolving cycle of data analysis, looking at our program results, evaluating those results, and then making the necessary changes to constantly improve the services we provide. Just like the growth we expect to see from our students, we need to be willing to experience that same growth as professionals. Thank you for your time and attention today. I hope I have offered some insight to the school counseling profession and provided some persuasive reasons that we should implement a formal school counseling program at Harrelson and at all of the elementary schools around the district. Anybody have any questions?